Hi everybody, it's Mrs. Thatcher with another video about how to talk to your children about social injustice and racism. And today I have some robot friends that are here to help me. And we're going to talk about how we can be an ally in the fight for social injustice. Now, it's really important that when we are talking to children that we explain things to them in a way that they can understand developmentally, but also that we don't avoid important issues just because we assume that the children aren't ready for tough topics. Children are naturally curious, and so they're going to be observing and making assumptions in some cases, making observations in other cases, and really forming opinions based on their experiences. So it's important as parents and teachers that we help guide children through these difficult times and that we talk to them about these important issues in a way that helps them to learn and grow. And so I brought some robots today because I want to kind of show you some things we can do as an ally and how important it is to look at each thing on a case-by-case basis. So all three of these are robots. They're all awesome. But what makes them all awesome is that they can do different things. Not all of them can hop, only one can. Not all of them can flip over, just this one can. Not everybody can carry a tray, but this one can. And so we want to look at the components of each robot and the capabilities. And when we look at their components and their capabilities, we see that they're all very special and unique in their own way. And we wouldn't want to just say, you know, all blue robots can flip. It's not true. Some robots that are blue do not flip. We wouldn't want to say all robots that are pink can hop. It's not true. Some can hop and some can't. The robot we're going to be talking about today is BB-8, and BB-8 is going to be talking to us about 4 things that we can do to help fight injustice. It doesn't even have to be injustice about race. It could be injustice about any topic that is dear to your heart. When we give kids tools on how to fight injustice, then we help them to become active citizens and also to contribute to solutions. And so it's important that we help educate the children, but also enable them to be able to make decisions for themselves and also to have good information to make those decisions from. So you can see here that BB-8 is down here. We have injustice, which is what we're trying to fight. And these are the 4 steps that we can really use to help fight injustice anywhere. So let's start with C. The first one on here is C. So before we can help with any problem or be a solution to any problem, we really have to see that problem clearly. We have to look around and see what the real issue is. Are people being racist? Are people treating people just based on the color of their skin differently than they would treat another based on the color of their skin? If that's what we're seeing, then that's something we have to look at and be very aware that it's happening still. Racism continues to exist despite efforts of the civil rights movement in the 60s, despite educators like me really trying to instill a sense of equity in our students. It happens, and as members of society, we have to be able to see what's happening. Is there inclusion? Is there acceptance? Is there respect? If those things are not there, then that is an issue. And we need to make sure that we're looking very critically at what is really happening. So kids are going to see things on the news. They're going to hear things, and they might start getting worried. It's really important that we have these conversations so that we can all help to improve. So after seeing, the next step would be talking. Talk doesn't just mean that you talk and talk like I am. It means that you talk to someone who actually is affected by the problem. You talk to someone who's experiencing it, and you find out what they're feeling and what they're going through. The most important thing when you're talking to someone is to be an active listener, to really be working on hearing what they're saying, acknowledging what they're saying, and supporting them through what they're saying. When we talk to family and friends, we gain understanding. When we talk to people who have been affected by problems, we also gain understanding of a little background information, maybe something about their experiences, and how we can best support them. The next step is reading. Read. So reading doesn't always have to be in a book. Sometimes we read things on the computer, like the internet. We might read about articles or even watch news stories on the computer and read a little bit about them. We might read newspapers or magazines or essays or even research papers. Reading is very important because it helps to educate us and it helps to give us information. Reading is really just a form of gathering information. And it's important to make sure that when we're reading, we're looking at things from viable sources. So we don't want to be biased in our reading. For example, we don't only want to read articles from one side of the news media. We also want to read articles from the other side of the news media so we can get a full picture. We want to make sure that when we're reading, we're looking for facts. And facts are true information, not opinions, how we feel about things, but actually what the facts are. And it's very important to vet that information and make sure that you're using reliable sources, but also that you're using a variety of sources. There are lots of books that you can read to your children or with your children, or even have your children read by themselves. But we want to make sure that we're thinking of this developmentally and making sure that it's appropriate for children. So if you're looking at something for a child who's maybe under the age of 9, it's important to talk to them about racism. It's important to talk to them about social injustice. But you want to steer the conversation in a way that they can understand. So a couple cool books for younger ages are things like Incredible You, a book that teaches children how to shine through, let their greatness shine through. Stories like What Would You Do with a Problem, helping them to be critical thinkers and also problem solvers. Once they get past 9, they're probably going to be mature enough to actually be talking about some of these social issues. One of the best series that I found, this was a gift from my dear friend Odessa. This was March, and this is a 3-book series. And it's very important because it's actually written by John Lewis, who is a former congressman. He worked diligently to help with the civil rights movement, and he wrote this award-winning series to help educate children on the plight of civil rights activists. I know my own daughter Ella loves this series. So that's an appropriate book for a child between the ages of 9 and all the way up to adults, because it talks about the issue in a way that they can understand and also they enjoy and they're motivated to read. So it doesn't always have to be a newspaper article. The last step is probably one of the most important steps, and that is modeling these behaviors. So as an educator, I know that that's probably 50% of my job is modeling good behavior, whether it be a correct writing position or how to track print, how to multiply or subtract or engineer a robot. All of those things have to be modeled. And as parents and educators, we also have to model behavior that can help end racism and help fight social injustice. So part of being a model citizen is making sure that you live your life with a clear focus on what is just and what is not just, and making sure that you make choices in your life that show that you care about the effects of those actions. So making sure that you do some research, you find out information before you jump into something, but also making sure that you treat people the right way, the way that maybe you would want to be treated. Modeling good behavior is something that children need to see. They also need to be explicitly taught what those behaviors are that help to show respect and help to show disrespect. So for example, using good language that you can model and they can practice, complimenting people, pointing out their strengths, building them up. Those are great ways to really build respect between people. Another way that we can model is by helping others, showing that we care and that we want to make a difference goes very far. If we show our children how to take care of something, they also take care of it. If we show children how to speak to people in a kind way, they'll use those same words and talk to their friends and family members with those kind words. And also the things that we do to show support, like listening, maybe donating our time or our financial contributions, show that we care. And then children can also model those behaviors. If it's appropriate, they can go to a protest. If it's appropriate, they can use some of their own savings to help donate to a worthy cause. Or they can also be a good friend and help someone who needs help. Those things are learned by experience, and so the more chances we can give our children to really model these behaviors, the better we'll be. So I hope that this helps. These are just a few tips that I've learned through my years as a teacher and a parent. I'm not at all an expert in this, but I do have a lot of experience with teaching children how to do the things that they're capable of doing. Every child innately is a loving heart, felt person who wants to do good, and the more we build them up and encourage those good behaviors, the better people they'll become. So thanks for watching. I hope this helped.